Monster Hunter has many monsters to hunt, as you'd expect given it's the game's name. There is one monster's hunt, however, which stands above the rest, and only a few other encounters in the series comes close to its level in terms of brilliance, skill, and pure spectacular glory. That hunt is Monster Hunter World's Fatalis. This was the final new monster that was added to World for its life cycle, and it definitely made its mark. Releasing at the end of September 2020, Fatalis quickly became a roadblock for players, with many not being able to beat it day one, and many still not able to defeat it a week later. And I'm pretty sure there are still players I see that gave up on trying to defeat Fatalis due to how difficult they were finding it, and still do. The fight consists of 3 phases. The initial phase has Fatalis sitting in the middle of the battle area, waiting for the hunter to land from their spawn point up above. Fatalis has a large moveset that expands as the battle goes into the subsequent phases, with his damage output increasing directly in proportion to those phases. If you are not well prepared, you will run into 2 issues. Either you will be one-shot very easily due to a lack of defense, and or your damage output is not adequate to slay the beast in the allocated time. The first phase requires a certain threshold of damage to be met, and this is where Fatalis flies high above the battlefield and scorches the ground with a massive flame attack, and here the player is required to hide underneath a small structure that can temporarily withstand the attack. After Fatalis has lit up his 10-second barbecue, he lands once again, and now the player has access to the Binder Ballista, which can lock Fatalis in place for a short period of time, and alongside that they can also use the Roaming Ballista, which is like a chain gun of sorts that is extremely effective in knocking Fatalis down, but it will be on a cooldown after you've used up its ammunition. Once again, this phase is damage locked, and Fatalis will repeat his sky attack after you've got his health low enough, but this time the hunter needs to take cover behind the gate towards the top of the area, and this gate is operated by a switch that can be found behind it. For the third phase, Fatalis breathes a much deadlier flame, which can be mitigated if the hunter was able to break the horn prior to or during the third phase. This third phase, as you'd expect, is the hardest phase, and I'm going to probably stop trying to say the word phase now because I've been saying it too many times, but this is where the majority of Fatalis' health will be taken down in one long stretch. You do gain access to the Dragonator later in this third part to add some easy big damage, and also have the Roaming Ballista refresh during this part, I was about to say phase again, for another use. Having Fatalis with his horn intact during this phase is incredibly dangerous, as he is much more prone to one-shotting the player even with good preparation. This is why the Roaming Ballista and Binder Ballista are so important, as these allow for an easier and more consistent damage strategy in targeting the horn before it becomes an issue. And even while it is an issue, it is something that you can use if you still have them up to try quickly get rid of the horn before he just one-shots you or puts you in a situation that leads to you getting killed. Throughout the final few chunks of his health, Fatalis will do a few sky attacks once again, but these will have no shelter. Instead, these flames will take a V-shape, meaning below his body there is a considerable amount of area that is not going to be scorched. Just be careful you're not getting caught on a gust of wind and end up on the opposite side of him, as that could be quite tricky to get out of. Of course, depleting all of his health will result in a triumphant victory in Monster Hunter fashion, and that is the Fatalis battle summed up in terms of mechanics and the general flow of the battle. The idea of being one-shot or close to death if hit adds a lot of weight to the battle, as bar a few silly game bugs, Fatalis' moves can be read just like any other monster, and eventually you will know exactly how to handle every one of its attacks. But of course, the great thing about Monster Hunter is that even if you have all this knowledge, one little mistake against an extremely deadly monster could be fatal, especially when facing this beast without Fatalis tier armor and weaponry. My personal experience was quite arduous, especially during the first day when the DLC released, and I ended up defeating Fatalis literally a minute after midnight of the day it came out, so I pretty much spent an entire day with multiple failures only to finally get the kill with my dual blades as it turned to the next day. This was easily one of my most unforgettable hunts, and with how well they reimagined the encounter that has been a staple in the majority of the Monster Hunter games in the past, I think Generation 3 was the only time we didn't see Fatalis. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it was in Portable Third, But regardless, it is no wonder why so many others are screaming with excitement when that little Monster Hunter victory audio cue hits and the monster falls to the ground one last time. But that is my greatest hunt in Monster Hunter, guys. Let me know down below what you guys think is the best hunt in Monster Hunter for you personally, and I look forward to seeing how all of our greatest hunts differ. As always, a like would be extremely appreciated if you did enjoy the video. It does help out the channel a ton, and subscribe for a lot more Monster Hunter content. Don't forget to join our Discord, links at the top of the description. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.